For months, a group of entitled seniors ruined their classmates' grades by leeching off their work. But on senior ditch day, I found the perfect loophole to force them to face the ultimate consequences. I am a veteran high school teacher. In my early teaching days, I worked at a tough school where entitled parents constantly verbally abused me, demanding my job over bad grades. When I moved to a much wealthier school district, I knew I had to adapt to survive. I became completely untouchable by following the school handbook to the exact letter. I designed ironclad rules and kept flawless documentation. The wealthy parents who threatened lawsuits quickly realized they couldn't mess with me, which allowed me to focus on actual accountability for my students. My grading system was fully digital, tracking exactly when students opened and worked on their assignments. This was my shield at parent-teacher conferences. If a student failed, I could easily prove they hadn't opened the homework until midnight before the exam. Most lazy students avoided my class for this reason. But one year, a group of 7 entitled senior boys shifted their schedules to be in my class together. They were notorious slackers, but they had mastered the art of looking busy without actually doing a single piece of work. On our very first group project, these 7 boys split into 2 groups and completely bombed it. They spent class time goofing off, waited until the last weekend, and dumped all the work onto a random classmate. I handed them failing grades, which immediately triggered angry parent conferences. The parents claimed their perfect angels did all the work, but I handed them my hyper-specific grading rubrics and timestamped digital data. When confronted with proof, the parents turned on their kids, but they demanded their sons never work with those specific classmates again. This parent demand created a massive problem. Like a virus, these 7 toxic seniors began rotating through the remaining groups in the class. On every project, they would worm their way in, buy the hardworking students lunch or gifts, and then let them do all the work. I had a group contract system that allowed students to fire lazy group members, but the other kids were too intimidated by the seniors to use it. They just absorbed the grade penalty and class morale plummeted. I knew I had to act. I decided to drop our final minor project of the semester and move our next major group project back a few weeks. Because of this change, I announced that this final group project would now be worth a massive 20% of their final course grade. It was a high-stakes assignment that could completely destroy a student's average if they failed. The class was thrilled to have a break, completely unaware of the trap I was carefully setting for the lazy seniors. On the Friday before the big project was scheduled to start, I made a sudden announcement. I told the class we were forming our groups right then so we could begin working immediately on Monday morning. I knew a secret. It was the school's unofficial senior ditch day. All 7 of our lazy seniors were absent. With the slackers gone, the remaining hardworking students immediately formed perfect groups of 4. Due to class sizes, this means that when the seniors returned, they would have no choice but to work with each other. On Monday, the seniors walked in and realized they had been completely cornered. The other students physically turned away, refusing to let them join their groups. The seniors tried to bargain for special 5-person groups, but I told them they would have to do double the work if they did. They quickly backed down. Forced into groups with only each other, they spent the entire period arguing over who actually had to do the work, realizing none of them knew how. Immediately, the parents launched an offensive. The mother of one student, Mo, demanded an emergency meeting. She accused me of waiting until senior ditch day to maliciously trap her son. However, I was prepared. I showed her that the seniors had forged their parents' signatures to ditch, which was a suspendable offense. I also showed her my unopened warning email sent to Mo's student account. Realizing her son had lied to her face and ignored my warnings, her anger completely flipped and she began lecturing him in my office. When the project was due, both senior groups turned in absolute garbage. Their final grades plummeted right before graduation. Another student's parents demanded a meeting, furious about his failing grade. But I showed them his year-long performance data and text exchanges showing he refused to do any work. His father looked at him and asked, "Which part did you actually do?" The student broke down in tears. His parents realized they had been lied to for years and completely cut off his college funding. Desperate for revenge, the worst of the seniors, Larry, tried to frame me. He convinced Mo's mother that I had been emotionally abusing Mo during after-school tutoring. They demanded a meeting with the principal to get me fired. What they didn't realize was that I always had my first-year mentee teacher working in my room during tutoring sessions. Mo had assumed she was just another student. Her written statement proved Larry's story was a complete fabrication. The seniors failed, lost their scholarships, and one didn't even graduate.